Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Nigeria Now, where we discuss everything Nigeria, looking at various sectors and as well looking at how it affects us directly. And as well, do remember that you can be part of the conversation. Just drop your comment, your views, and some of the matters we'd love to bring to the table this afternoon. You're always welcome to drop that opinion of yours. I am Selen Laishadasho. I'll be doing this program alongside Rachel Tansey. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Sally.
How's the weather?
Weather is great.
All right. It's that time of the year, so we enjoy it while it lasts.
Yes.
Well, let's take a look at what's happening. Most of the conversation on the lips of Nigerians now is the issue of the hike in fuel price, where we're saying that just shortly, not up to 24 hours, or let's say 24 hours, where Dangote just showed the first sample of his petrol price, and as well stating the fact that the NNPCL are the sole buyers. Now we're seeing that there have been a hike in petrol price, starting from even the NNPCL filling stations and then other markets as well. We're seeing for the NNPCL, we're seeing most of the mega filling stations, they're selling their petrol at about 900 naira or so, because it's almost getting to 897 naira to a liter. And then for other filling stations, it's even going as high as 1,000 or even more. Now, there have been a number of confusion and outreach coming from Nigerians, as well as even the NLC, where we're seeing they're saying that the federal government have betrayed them. Now, we started the conversation in the morning, and I said it was kind of funny for me when Nigeria is saying that this is betrayal. And I know, of course, we all feel betrayed by the government stating the fact that this was not the agreement I believe Nigerians had, because the conversation initially was, please, the hardship is hard. Can you just look for palliative and give Nigerians? We saw where the various, ways of the Nigerian government trying to help its citizens, where we saw 50,000 naira for nano businesses. Very few people were able to benefit from that. And then we've had, I think, as of last week or so, we still had some states complaining that they're yet to get the rice coming from the federal government regarding that. And just before we recover, it's not even up to a month or so, when the federal government, the president himself, approved the 70,000 naira minimum wage. Now we're seeing that, what, right now the price of petrol is high. So that is a conversation. When you stop any cap, that is what you will hear. The prices of petrol is high. When you go to the market and you say, why is this vegetable very expensive? The next response you get is, petrol is high, and of course transportation is very, very high. So definitely we have to look for a way to make a little profit and all of that. But looking at all these, and then response coming from, we are seeing the NLC complaining, Nigerians complaining, and we know that this is far from being over, because it's more than a month now we've been complaining about scarcity of fuel, where we're seeing that finally the NNPC have finally admitted that yes, they are owing international bodies, importers, about $6 billion debt. And then we say we need more than that as well again to get petrol and all of that. So this is too much for Nigerians to chart a time like this, where you have hardship on one hand, and then things are not just moving as we see it to be. And just when the year is almost coming to an end, you just cannot help but wonder, how are we going to end this year?
So that the federal government cannot reverse the price of petrol. No matter what NLC say, no matter how NLC feels, whether it's a betrayal or not, the fact remains that they cannot reverse the price, because it all depends on subsidy. And if the federal government says we are no longer paying subsidy for petrol, it means that they cannot reverse the prices of what petrol is being sold at the market. They can't change the landing cost. Is what they get it for, that's what they give it to us, that's what is being delivered to us. And still, yeah, there's argument between marketers and the NNPCL saying, you know what, there's subsidy because the landing cost is 1,205 naira. It means if that is the landing cost, then petrol should be at least 1,400 thereabout per liter, and yet it's not at that amount. And that is why we still have the big speculation that, you know what, the federal government is still paying subsidy, and then we have the finance minister Edun saying something like technically gone
Removed.
You understand? So no, NLC, I said it in the morning and I'll say it again, should stop acting like children. Federal government cannot reverse the price of fuel in the market. They cannot change the fuel pump price whatsoever. what we could have fought and stood our ground on is the removal of fuel subsidy. The moment we failed to do so, the moment NLC failed to stand their ground by telling the federal government to reverse their policy, they failed in whatsoever in telling the government to control the prices of fuel in the market. And that is where our power authority, whatever state we have, stops and stands, because you know what? The federal government cannot now reverse the fuel pump price as long as they are not paying subsidy. Because what's paying subsidy gave the federal government was the authority and the power to be able to control the prices of fuel at the filling station and to be able to give people petrol at an affordable rate. Now, if the government is not subsidizing, they cannot reverse the price, because it is not even them that is
That determine the price.
Exactly. They are not the one. It is just the market forces at play. The market of our exchange value, the market of no more subsidy. What marketers bring, what you buy, you have to sell, because either way there's need for profit. You need to pay, you need to buy, and we can see that they have even been buying on credit, and now they cannot pay back the credit, and they need more credit to be able to make purchase. So this is just market factor playing around, and then the federal government, of course, will not agree to them, because the accusation out there is that the federal government have no. We can agree with them because they are standing on the ground that there's no longer fuel subsidy. So yes, it is not them, it is market factor. In as much as the NNPCL are the one in charge of distributing oil, and we know that marketers do not deal directly with the importation of oil. It is NNPCL, they get from them and then it goes. That is it. The federal government at this point through the NNPCL is just facing the oil market as it is, and NLC failed in standing their ground concerning fuel subsidy, and therefore now cannot do anything to the federal government, because the federal government in turn cannot do anything even if they want to do something about the fuel pump price.
You know, you really lay so much emphasis, and I love the direction this whole conversation is going, because we're looking at the fact that I think the fear for stakeholders and Nigerians is what will be our inflation right now, and then also we're looking at the production costs. And another thing, we're looking at our poverty rate as well. So I believe that this is more like the driving force for Nigerians to say that, okay, right now with the way things are, we're going to be looking at more people getting poor. We're looking at inflation rate getting higher, especially we always know that one of the driving force for inflation is mostly dependent on how much we purchase food. Most time when you see the inflation going high, it's either the prices for food commodity was stable or it has gone a little bit high. Then we know that whether we like it or not, definitely to affect the inflation rate. And I think that is the concern for Nigerians. But just like we said, the Nigerian government have no direct impact on that. I think the only way they can actually determine the price is when we do something about our refineries, which we've been talking over and over and over and over. If we're able to do something about the refinery, then we know that somehow when we start producing our own oil and refining it, definitely there will be a need for the naira. And then definitely we'll now see that, okay, there's a demand for the naira, and then things will become stable. But until then, I don't know, maybe one day we'll wake up to the price of petrol getting higher than 1,000 naira, maybe getting to 1,500. Even though we saw that initially they said even when they removed the fuel subsidy, it will be at 700 naira. But what have the Nigerian government done to make sure that it stays at 700 now, when marketers are not even buying it at that price? So how would they sell it at that? But we'll keep our fingers crossed, hoping something positive will come out of that. Now we're seeing regarding the issue of insecurity, there's no day that will pass by that we don't visit this topic, and it's a very sensitive topic and very dicey. The fact that there's so much demand coming from the people to its government, because we have said this over and over, the fact that when you fail to protect lives and properties, definitely you have failed. And now we're looking at what is happening in Yobe, just when we saw when the Nigerian government is sending most of our senior military agency, the military security agency over there to do something regarding insecurity in the northwest. And we're saying that just in Yobe, about 30 something people died. There was a mass burial yesterday, but then according to the people, over 100 people died. But the government said casualties, what they were able to record was 30. Now, even if we're going to look at it as just 30 something people dying, that is a lot of number. That is so much for just a day. And we're talking about this over and over and over and over. What is the government doing? It was in this same government or in this same country where we had one of our politicians or leaders saying that the moment we see insecurity lasting more than 24 hours, implication is that the government have a hand in
Yeah,
it.
they do.
But then just to say that the government is not financing this, why are we having insecurity thriving so much? People that are meant to be behind bars are the same people that are walking scot-free on the streets of Nigeria. And the people that are meant to be walking scot-free are the ones that are being detained without hearing. So what are we saying? We're seeing a number of things happening regarding this issue of insecurity. And we know that, of course, if we're going to talk about Yobe, they have had their own fair share of insecurity. We're having people in Niger living an estate. Why? Because bandits over there threatening them that it's either you live or we kill you. We're having ISWAP coming out to give us reasons why they kill such a number. And I wonder, what is the Nigerian government holding that belongs to you that gives you the effrontery to do such a thing such as this? And yet we're having nobody coming out to state categorically, okay, 2 days we've not seen any attack in Benue, but that does not stop an attack in Benue. Or we talk about that of Plateau State, that in Bokos, they're having their own fair share. So there's no place in Nigeria presently, if we're going to talk about insecurity, that has not been touched directly or indirectly by either bandits, terrorists, however they are, whether they call themselves Boko Haram headers, they are one and the same as far as we're concerned, they're terrorists. Now the question to Nigerians will be, what is the Nigerian government doing? I know this is a question we've had for more than 10 years, but we're yet to get the answer. So we keep asking the same question again, over and over. What are you doing to protect lives and properties as well?
So when it comes to numbers, I think I'm most likely going to agree with the villagers concerning the head count, because we know that the federal government, security personnel and all of that are in the habit of reducing numbers just to, make to kind of curtail the situation, let it not be as big as it's supposed to be. But if people in a community are saying, you know what, over 86 people were found, corpses of people spread across that community. It's not just about one house, it's an entire community that was attacked. It's not a street, it's not somebody's house, it's not somebody's compound. And we are seeing such a number. And in as much as we have our security officers coming out to say, you know what, it's just 34, but the villagers are giving a different number, then it means perhaps it might not be up to 100, but then it's more than 34. That's what it means, that the figures we're having on the paper by security personnel is most likely higher than what is recorded. But we can leave that aside. We are used to this kind of thing. But you see, that is not the major concern, Sele. Is that if the work that is expected to be done was done, I believe that this community will not be attacked in the first place. Because we are talking about Mafa community within the borders of Yobe and Borno. Now, we've had for years Borno a state that there have been terrorist activities for over a decade now. We're looking at 10 years over when we started dealing with the Boko Haram insurgency, and then we are looking at the ISWAP and all of that, whatever name they have, they are terrorists. And they have been dominant in Borno. We know that that is the home of Boko Haram, and every terrorist attack that we've had, the fair share of it. And then you have border communities, you have neighboring states, you have, must the Nigerian defense headquarters, must our army, military, air force not know the borders to be able to, because we know what terrorism is it moves. It doesn't stay in one place. It moves. This community should have been one of those places that even before we say maybe 5 years from now, 10 years from now, Boko Haram will want to move into other communities. Every bordering community to another state associated to Borno that could be a place, a commute, a way, a road, a route whatsoever for Boko Haram to be able to have access to another state should be fully protected. The army should be able to mount their defenses on strategic places, because we know that when they move, when they raid, they are taking territories, and they will not just pass silently. It is a message out there that we are moving at. They will not move silently because they have a goal. They are trying to conquer, and we know what terrorism is all about. It is no news to. So what happened to mounting security posts and making sure that certain border community that could be a target even before they became a target were well protected? And this is where it just keeps pointing us to the fact that we are not doing 100%. Because we know what is needed. Our military knows the work that is supposed to be put into making sure that this doesn't cross. Because now they have moved into Yobe. This is the message out there, that there might be more attacks. This is one community, the closest. Where have they moved to? And which community will be the next victim? Exactly. Because these people are moving. And it's one state after another, it's one territory after another. So what are we trying to say? We have to wait till another bordering community that is connected to another state to Borno be the next target or whatnot, because it shouldn't have even fallen prey in the first place. So I just hope that rather than being focused on sending your condolences and giving money, rather than all of these things, that the real work be done, so that there won't be a need for condolence, there won't be a need for any other thing that takes place after that. But we need to do the work before then. It just keeps showing our loophole, the gaps, and the security intelligence that is failing, the security action that is not is supposed to be taken and is not taken. And in the end, we have innocent lives, we have civilians, we have farmers, we have commoners, we have people that shouldn't be at the end of this kind of thing receiving it, because the government and the people in charge have refused to do the work that is expected of them to do years before now.
And I think we've said this over and over as well on this show, is the fact that we wonder why the government keep insisting on corrective measures rather than preventive measures, and which is what you just said right now, in the fact that you already know borders, communities that share certain borders with places. And of course, common sense, which is not common, should tell you the fact that they will be moving to the next. We saw what happened when there was an attack in Benue, and we know that definitely if they see so much fire coming from the security agency, they will move to the next place, which is closer to them, which is Nasarawa State. If Nasarawa do not do something about it, the next place we hear is that they are moving into Plateau State. If Plateau is getting too hot for them, they move to Kaduna, and they also move with the seasons. Let's not forget, when it gets to, when they see that the rain is too much in this place, they definitely look for which is the next state that there's not so much of rain that can help their business to thrive. We saw how much when it comes to money that is being sent, especially for ransom. They are making out, they are cashing out, and this is a business to them. And I think the government needs to do something about that as well. We've raised concern about even them going to IDP camps. Despite the fact that you've made people feel frustrated, their effort, they are not living in their community, you still follow them to the IDP camps to cause havoc as well. What is the government doing this? And just like we said, it's a demand the Nigerian government, the Nigerian people are asking from its people, from its government. They are demanding that you do the right thing. If we have letters coming in and then the DPO will have nothing to say about the letter, they will call the DPO, his number is going or he's switched off or he's not picking. Something is wrong somewhere. So we look forward to seeing our government rising up to their responsibility. If the military are shorthand, we have the police, we have the civil defense. We can join hands together and let us work this thing out. I think this is the place where I'll say it doesn't matter about your jurisdiction. It matters about protecting lives and property, regardless of what it is. So we'll keep our fingers crossed, and we hope that the government will actually, do their own part of the job. We've done ours by voting you into power. So right now it's your turn to actually do the right thing by Nigerians. Well, thank you so much, Doctor, for doing this with me. As well, thank you to our viewers. Thank you to the supporters, as well as to the entire production crew. Until we come again tomorrow, please do have a lovely day ahead.